What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another very exciting episode right here on the My Gardener channel. This one's gonna be a pretty impromptu one. We're just outside cleaning up the garden, cleaning out all the leaves and the brush and stuff that's built up over the past season. And I thought, you know what? This would be a really good opportunity to pull out my phone. Usually I do it on my big camera, but I'm just gonna pull out my phone, bring you guys along for a quick episode here about our compost, because a lot of you have asked about our compost setup, how much compost we generate, how we turn kind of a raw material into a finished product, and just kind of how we do it. And so I thought I'd bring you guys along for that. Now, we have done lots of videos on our compost pile setup, how we built it, things that we do. But I just kind of wanted to do kind of a quick overview, because there's a lot of new people that have asked this in the past couple weeks. And so I thought, you know what? Now's a great time to do it. So so we're out here just kind of cleaning up a bunch of brush in the yard. You don't have to tell me the garden has been trashed for the past couple months. That's because we haven't had time. We just have not had time. But now we're making time. The weather's warming up. It's like 65 degrees. So I'm not complaining. But hopefully you guys are having a great day wherever you're at. Hopefully you're getting out in the garden, enjoying the warm weather. And so with that being said, let's jump on into today's video. So the first thing I wanted to cover was the compost pile setup. So here we have as you can tell, this is the raw material. This is just the uncomposted material. This is anything that can be composted. This is plant material like tomato plants, pepper plants, some parsley, leaves. We have some alfalfa pellets, which we did a video on. We use this for our nitrogen. If we are really lacking green material, we'll throw some alfalfa pellets in here. That adds a beautiful source of nitrogen to help the compost pile heat up, compost quickly. We throw grass clippings on here, food scraps, eggshells, literally anything that can break down. And then as this breaks down here, this is basically half a season. So from spring until about summer, this fills up. And then when it breaks down, we move it over here as the finished product. And this is the finished product. Look at this stuff. It's absolutely incredible. I mean, you just can't get stuff like this at the store. This also, as you can see, has a little bit of perlite in it and whatnot. That's because any old potting mix goes in here. It just really helps to regenerate the potting mix, bring it back up to its vibrancy, and improve it. So there's some perlite and stuff in there as well. But this is just absolutely incredible. And this whole pile here, is about so the compost corral is 3 feet wide by 3 feet tall, and so you get about 27 cubic feet in this compost corral here. And so we had this full thing all the way up to about here. This was, I mean, the pile was far bigger than the compost corral. It broke down over the course of the winter, and then we're left with this beautiful stuff here. And how we get this beautiful stuff is we literally just take a rake. We just take a rake and we basically just pull the material. We pull the material back and we pull it into the yard. We pull it just about 2 or 3 feet over this way. Everything else that's broken down has fallen down through the chunky material. Like when this stuff is, like, obviously this stuff's not even close to breaking down, but the composted material falls down through the cracks. We just rake all the big stuff back, take all the broken down stuff, and move it over there. So it's really simple to generate compost. A lot of people try to focus too much on, green and brown material. How much of each, do you really need to generate compost? The fact of the matter is, stuff will compost no matter what you have if it's organic matter. Now, you can get stuff to break down faster by adding a proper amount of green and brown material, about a 60% brown material to about 40% green material. Your green material would be like your nitrogen source, and your brown material is your carbon source. Now, that's only if you want to have a very active, super hot compost pile that generates a lot of heat and breaks down very quickly. You don't have to use those ratios to get compost, though. You could literally use just all leaves, which is all brown material, and you could generate what's called leaf mold. It takes a lot longer to break down. It does take a lot more kind of turning. It takes, maybe about 3/4 of a season rather than maybe 3 or 4 months. But you're gonna have finished compost, and it's gonna be great. So don't let what you have on hand constrain you from saying, well, I don't know if I can have a compost pile. You can compost just about anything. Now, the other question people get asked that we get asked all the time is, how much compost do we generate here? And so, like I said, this is a bi-seasonal rotation. So we'll do this 2 times during the season. We will fill this bay up, this bay right here, with raw material. As this breaks down, we'll move the finished product over here. When this bed is empty, we'll then take this bin here and fill it back up again. So we'll do this 2 times during the course of the year. And so we'll generate about as much as you saw twice a year. That's about a yard of compost. So over the course of a season, we'll get roughly about 2 yards of compost, which is awesome. I mean, that is terrific. And so in regards to how much that actually fulfills our needs in our garden, that's about 70 to 75% of our compost needs. So we do actually need to go buy some from either a store or a compost facility. We don't generate everything that we need here on site, but almost. And I think that's awesome, because that's all money saved, and it's also keeping, it's also just kind of keeping the organic matter right on the site, rather than letting it get picked up by the waste management, taken to a compost facility where then I have to just go buy it again. So I'd rather just keep it right on site. It's way easier. That's how much we generate. And then the final question we get asked all the time is if we ever plan on expanding this, because there's a lot of people that will do like 3 or 4 bays, and they'll basically do like a rotation so that they don't ever have to pull the material out into the yard. That's one thing that I gripe about, because I like to keep everything really nice and neat. And it's kind of unfortunate when you have to pull literally all this material out into the yard and then take out the finished material and throw it over. If we had 3 bins, I wouldn't have to do that. I would just move the finished material over 1 bin, leave 1 bin empty, and then leave the other bin with I would just move the semi-finished stuff over to that empty bin, and there'd always be 1 bin to kind of move stuff back and forth to, keeping the yard a lot cleaner. However, the issue is, the reason why we're not doing that is because, as you can see, this is the back of our shed here, and our shed can't get any bigger. And I don't want to encroach on our yard. I don't want to encroach into the orchard. I'd rather just keep it behind our shed here, where it's nice and concealed. It's away from, kind of out of sight, out of mind. And so I can't make it a whole lot bigger than this. And it's really important for me that we have a compost corral that is 3 feet by 3 feet, so that I have a really good, a really good amount of organic matter in each bin to break down. Because that's the final thing that I really want to drive home, is that no matter what you do, you should have a good pile, because the bigger the pile, the more organic matter you have, the more biomass you have, and the faster you're going to get compost. Regardless if it's green material, brown material, or all brown material, or all green material, it doesn't matter. You still need a lot of it to start breaking down. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, so there's our compost pile. That's how we move our compost, back and forth. And then the finished product is ready to use on the garden. So we're gonna tarp it. Oh, and that's one final thing. One final note here is super, super important to make, is that when this is finished, which this is finished, we're gonna take a tarp and actually put a tarp over this. That way any rain that's there, any rain or snow, any type of precipitation, does not leach nutrients out of the compost. It's gonna keep the quality where it needs to be. So that's the last thing we're gonna do. So I hope you guys enjoyed this quick little episode. Hopefully you all are growing bigger going home, and we'll see you all on the next episode. And I think we're gonna be starting some cold weather crops. So that's gonna be coming up on the next episode.